Let's go.
Okay, we're rolling.
Game. We're ready? And action. Victor, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We're
Happy to be here.
Thank you. We're happy to have you here. We met talking about investments. We work in real estate investments, Harrison and I. And you had a really cool sounding company. So thank you for coming on the show to kind of talk to us a little bit more about what you're doing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
I
Yeah.
think you're a first non-real estate professional. I mean, I know you said, real estate's kind of like a hobby, but this is somewhere between 5 and 7. I lose count easily. But your main primary focus is not real estate. And I think all of our other guests have been. So this will be fun.
Harrison's working on counting. We're good. We start to fall off around number 8. So, Victor, please introduce yourself. Tell the world a little bit about what you're doing.
All right. Yeah. So again, glad to be here with you. We met because of our real estate ventures, and it was good to meet you and hear about your great, interesting ventures. I think you're doing an amazing job. And about myself, so my background is not real estate, although I love real estate and I've been in this for a long time. But my background is really software engineering. Back in Israel, it's where I got my training. And I've been doing that for over 20 years. I've been bringing innovative technologies to the market, mainly around NLP, natural language processing. So all the AI stuff, all the ChatGPT stuff. So all of that, the history of that. My main focus was bringing or developing technologies that understand the language and can do all kind of stuff around it. Really finding those important pieces of information out of vast amount of unstructured text for various reasons. And I kind of moved into healthcare in the recent years, and that was the background of founding WREI because of personal reasons, as it happens many times. So I had a very close dear uncle in New Jersey that passed from heart disease. He passed the night after he was released from the hospital, and that kind of struck me and made me realize that all the male in my family had either passed or had a heart attack at a young age. And I'm the next male that still didn't get it or still don't know about a problem in the heart. So me and my wife, which we have similar backgrounds, just wanted to be proactive about it and find a solution and have some peace of mind about what's going to happen and what's going on with my heart. And of course, we dug into that and we're looking for solutions. And when we didn't find anything, then that was the beginning of WREI.
WREI is the name of your company?
WREI.
Cool.
Yes. It's supposed to be something that walks with you. In the first version, it was a physical device. We pivoted from a watch to a sticker to underwear even. We wanted something that would be comfortable, that would be on you at all times. But really our specialty is in software. So this is our big pivot, was to focus on what we're good at, because you need to be really excellent in both hardware and software, and our expertise is in software. And we saw there are so many hardware devices out there that can capture ECG, which is the base signal of that feeding what we are doing. So we decided to stay on that and focus on that and be the champions for all of those devices that are out there. I'll say the main maybe philosophy or innovation behind our approach is looking at the heart not just as electrical signals, but really as a language, and applying those methods and principles from our past experience in how you can really understand deeper and better the language, in this case the language of the heart, can bring to greater insights and to be able to detect diseases more efficiently.
Very cool.
All right, everybody, this is an intelligent episode. Buckle in.
Well, I made it past a ninth grade intro to medical terminology. I think that's my extent in the medical field, although both of my parents were in medicine. So I'll do my best.
So sorry to hear about your family member. And I think most businesses are born out of a necessity. We were talking about this earlier, that like necessity is the mother of invention.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I need it. I need to make this happen so it doesn't this doesn't repeat. So, okay, the heart as a language, what exactly does that mean?
So we have this approach of semantics. We are adding the layer of semantics. Semantic is meaning. And we did similar approaches earlier for the language. I'll give you an example, like the word dates. What is the meaning of the word dates? It can be, in one example, dates are my favorite fruit, or I went last night to a great date, right? So the context of that changes entirely the word, although the word is exactly the same. So what's changed is the context, the meaning, the semantics of the word. All the attributes, the morphological attributes are the same, but the semantic is different. And that's what we are doing, this analogy to the heart, where we look at the heartbeats. Every heartbeat is like a word in a sentence, in a story that the body is telling us. And then we see the different heartbeats that can maybe look the same when you are excited or when you are having a heart attack or some kind of a condition. But really, when you look in the broader context of things and add the semantic layer, you can find a deeper meaning and understanding of the disease. And we're using it in two ways. One is to have better precision to diagnosing diseases that usually traditionally are diagnosed from ECG, but really many diseases cannot be diagnosed from ECG. You need to have other tests, they're more expensive, like echocardiogram or CTs. So we realized that when you apply AI together with ECG, you can find amazing stuff. AI can even see stuff like your age or gender, definitely things that the human eye, no matter how trained they are, cannot. So that can unlock a great potential to early diagnosis of diseases, which is really, one of the biggest problems we have today in healthcare.
So when you're looking at, sort of, to use your analogy, the different semantics and context around the word date, what are some of when you're looking at, a heartbeat, I don't want to sound ignorant, but like a heartbeat is a heartbeat. And I'm sure there's some differences, but let's just say that they're the same. Like the word date is the same by itself. What are some of the other contexts that your software is looking at to try and get ahead of some of these potential heart diseases?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there are many known concepts of the morphology, different morphology that you typically see in a heartbeat, and those can have very subtle changes that, like again, the human eye not necessarily seeing. So then with the AI, we are building this semantic network. We call it the biosemantics, which is a network of all the heartbeats that are out there in the population. The same way as we can network map all of the alphabet, all of the words that we can talk about. So we're also doing this kind of a biosemantic network of all the different heartbeats, the different types. And we have this nice image of that with different nodes connected to each other. Every node represents a different heartbeat in the population. It may have different size, and that represents how popular this heartbeat is within the population. Again, same as we are using some words more than others. Mm-hmm. And the color of them represent the heart condition that those heartbeats are connected to. Mm-hmm. And then when we press start for the ECG strip to run the traditional one. So we then align every heartbeat in the ECG to our semantic network, and we can immediately see for this patient, like what is the heart condition from beat number 1, and create this individual semantic network for this patient and see how they are in relation to the entire population, and can also repeat that over time and see how their individual semantic network is changing with treatment and things like that.
Very cool.
So okay. So basically, your software can kind of plug in to existing monitoring, kind of like a base. Would you consider this like a base level of heart monitoring? And now you can take that EKG and now run your software on top to compare that heartbeat to the tremendous amount of data that you already have in your software that's modeling basically, here's what that could mean. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And again, I'll give you an example, because what we're building now is a platform that basically understanding the language of the heart, which will allow us to detect whatever heart disease. And we are, focusing on one at a time, and we are choosing the one after a deep market research we've done, those that will bring value. So if there is a treatment on the other end of the diagnosis, so then there is value. So we took, for example, one segment, a significant segment of heart diseases, which is heart failure. And before I started the company, I had no idea what the difference between heart failure or heart attack or cardiac arrest. So heart failure is basically when the heart, for many, many reasons, getting thicker and less efficient in pumping blood into the body. And today, the diagnosis journey of a patient to be diagnosed is they need to have an echocardiogram, which is an expensive, less accessible test. Nobody is doing it just for fun or just for screening. There's not enough resources to do that. So the result of that is that 80% of the patients that are diagnosed with heart failure are only diagnosed after being hospitalized. And of course, time is of the essence here, and that's like too late. It's been shown that you have twice as much chance to survive if you were diagnosed earlier in the community settings, as opposed to being admitted at the hospital. So what we are doing is bringing those echo-like insights from an ECG. An ECG is something that you can do with your PCP in your annual checkups if you have several comorbidities or some factors that you need to do it every year. Not everybody, but a big chunk of the population before you're having symptoms. And today there are all those devices, the wearable devices, even like Apple Watch, Fitbit, Ring, many devices that can capture ECGs and collect those data points that can feed those kind of algorithms to be able to detect those. So that's what we're aiming for, to detect those heart failure specifically. Now we are going to the FDA, and hopefully this summer we're going to have the clearance for that, to be able to detect or screen for heart failure from ECG.
That's incredible.
So what is so ECG? So we have ECG and then echocardiogram. Those are different, right? So what does ECG stand for?
ECG is the electrical activity of your heart, which you can feel through the body. This is why you can feel it even from a watch that is typically a one lead. When you go to the doctor, usually the gold standard is having those stickers, the 10 stickers that produce 12 lead ECG. That's the gold standard. So yeah, that's the electrical signals reflected on the skin. Echo is more of an imaging that shows like image and sound and flow. Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay, cool.
So how do you think the execution of this will go? Like, will this be something that could be turned into like an app? on your phone, and you can tie in to your Fitbits or your Apple Watches, and now you have this incredible monitoring from the touch of your phone?
Yeah, so that's a great question. How do you bring innovative technology and implement it in the market? Because there is a great challenge here. The healthcare system is very complex. The incentives are not always in line with what's best for the patient. So that's like a big challenge of finding those. We have ideas on how to get it out there, and our aim is really to get to everybody, to the patient that are not sick or starting to be sick or about to be sick, as myself, as someone at risk, to find it early. There are a few channels. I can speak briefly about the channels we see, how we can implement that. One, of course, is the healthcare systems, which we speak with several of them, and they have a lot of interest in that, especially in the rural settings where
imagine.
you have, where the remote settings where they don't have access. So it's even more important there because they don't see a cardiologist. They have less accessibility to cardiologists. So having those cardiologists, the insight, empowering a PCP with those capabilities is even stronger in those settings. And that will allow us to stay connected to the need, to the clinical need. So that's one route, to just integrate it into those systems. The integration is very hard because those systems are complex, but this is one route. Another one is those medical devices, like the ECG machines. Have Philips, GE, the big that have ECG machines. So just integrate that as a SaaS into the machine that they are creating.
This sounds so cool. This sounds awesome.
And there are some other ways. We actually just launched a demo called the Cardiology PT, based on the ChatGPT that we also discussed about before. Since we are so in line with language, so all of this revolution of LLMs and all of this thing, we are riding on that. It's very close to what we are doing. We are working on really, really cool concepts of ECG to text and text to ECG. Like imagine capturing somehow the ECG, the activity of your heart, and then it's being translated into words that not only a physician, a PCP or a nurse can understand, but really everybody can understand because it's translated into words. So we are working on those kind of cool new concepts. So we have this new demo showing how a physician that is not necessarily a cardiologist can use our technology to be able to diagnose a patient. It's like, imagine like you have all the best cardiologists in the world, all their knowledge in your accessible in your hand, and with our technology that can also translate and make diagnosis out of those ECGs with our FDA approved, hopefully soon, technology. So that's a very powerful tool that we want to bring to everybody.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where are you getting a lot of your thinking about how do you get your source data to sort of form your your understanding of how these issues could arise? Because I imagine like you can't just go get it'd be very difficult to get like patient records, right? What's the HIPAA or
the HIPAA compliance, and there are many hurdles in getting access to data. That's a great question, of course, because we are in the space of AI. So data is an important piece of it. So I have several answers to that. Ones go back to the semantic approach, where yes, we need to create this big set or lake of data to create this understanding, but really as opposed to traditional AI methodologies that every time you face a new problem, you need new data. And a big amount of it. Think about it, if we mapping all the language, all the possible heartbeats out there, so with time we need less data, and we can adjust and be more understand it better with less data. So that's like one for the philosophy and the semantic approach. But yes, as a small startup, especially that we are not coming out of a big healthcare system, and our biggest competitor is coming out of a huge network, and they have access to all of the data. Right. So we were thinking, how can we use that, again, necessity, innovation, how we can turn that and make it advantage instead of disadvantage. So we have 3 ways to deal with that and have access to data. One is just public data sets. There are. We have around 1 million ECGs that are coming from the open source that were published by studies and things like that. So we got access to that. That's like a good.
That's a good start.
That's a good start to start building the technology. Yes. So that was, we were using those kind of data at the beginning. Then we are partnering with healthcare providers. So we are getting those partnerships with them. We started from Israel. It's where I'm from. It's a bit cheaper than the US. So we started those reliable sources that we can grow and afford. And now we are, for the FDA, we need US data. So we started to partner with healthcare systems from the US. And there is a lot of interest around what we're doing. So they're willing to, give us the data, and we'll give them access to the innovation, technology. So this is how, and I think we're creating an advantage by having not only one source that is not, heterogenic enough. So we are creating with many healthcare providers from rural places, and that allows us a better distribution and a better data source. And the last one is, since we are understanding the language of the heart, we also can generate a synthetic data, and that can bring us to like vast amounts of data. And that's something we are working right now to see how a real data looks like, and then generate a fake ECG.
Wow.
So all of those 3 together, we are creating this advantage of having access to significant data.
Got it.
How many heartbeats do you have right now in your Rolodex that you're modeling?
So usually an ECG, when you go to the doctor and they record, they take 10 seconds. So it depends on your heart rate. It can be, if it's low, maybe 6 heartbeats. If it's fast, it can be maybe up to 15. So multiply that by 1 million that we have from, out there, the open source, and maybe 20,000 that we acquired so far. And we are partnering and hoping to enlarge that to millions. So it's a significant amount of heartbeats.
Yeah. Is every heartbeat unique?
Yeah, it's like a fingerprint. It looks very similar, but it is a little bit different.
That's spectacular.
Is it, so everyone's individual heartbeat, I could understand how that would be unique. Is like, for like, let's say for me, is one heartbeat, are there differences from one to the other, or is it pretty consistent for, over a 10-second or even like 60-second period? Is it the beat from that one person fairly consistent?
Yeah, there are, of course, more similarities between your heartbeats, but they are a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, they are a little bit different, but
could
vary more with other people.
Yeah, because you could be standing, sitting, running, walking, talking, sleeping.
Right. There are many variations. You're probably aware of all of those health apps that checking all of those changes and the meaning of that. I think now we are in this era where we have the technology to capture so much data, and now we are starting to get the access to the algorithm, the compute, to make significant insights out of it. But I think we're still in the beginning of that, and there will be more and more, amount of data that everybody can produce, and will be more and more technologies and insights that will be able to take out of it.
Yeah, I think we're still on the early, on the early side of this window of people and like the larger population realizing that like we are like a sick society, and there's a lot of problems that I think people, for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, that problems that slowly arose and things that people kind of ignored. And now it's to a point where you really just can't ignore it anymore. You can't ignore that, heart failure is the number one cause of death in the United States. You can't ignore that, like, 50+% of Americans are overweight or obese. And these things that are all tie into heart health. I think we're still I feel like I've been kind of self-aware of that for a little while, but things sort of grow very slowly and then all at once. And I think we're still in the very early stage of like a majority of the population really understanding that and taking it seriously enough to actually do something.
Right. Yeah, there are two components. One is the awareness. I don't think like our parents or grandparents were, concerned too much about it, or were paying attention too much to that, like to what they eat, or if they exercise or not. They just did because they worked and they were
right.
I don't know, focusing on surviving more.
Yeah,
I think now
they had other problems,
right? So now we have those awareness, which is important, and also the technology that is enabling us to capture this data and start being more proactive. I think being proactive rather than reactive, that's like the key of what WREI symbolizes. I think the main problem that we have today in the healthcare system is that it's very reactive. You have all of those amazing technologies and investments in those, in prolonging the few years, the last few years of your life, when the problems are really shown, when you're really sick, when you had the heart attack, when you had the stroke, when it's obvious and you are dying. So then it's doing great to extend and prolong that, but it's doing not enough. It's not doing enough for all the first period of detecting it early, in being proactive, in prolonging the life from early on.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Casey and Callie Means?
I don't think so.
They're not in the heart healthcare space, but I think they're brother and sister. One of them is a former doctor. I don't remember which, or still is a doctor, but I don't think not actively practicing like medicine that way.
Okay.
But they are very loud voices in the sort of the disruption of the healthcare industry and how that proactive versus reactive, and being like really emphasizing that the proactive side of that scale, saying that like, there's broken systems in our healthcare and food industry and the way we take care of ourselves, and that we really need to be focusing on this side rather than just trying to find a cure for something after the problem's already arisen.
Right. And for us as an early stage startup, I think it's important also to realize like what we can do. We are dreaming big, but also wanting to like somehow integrate our solution into the existing pipelines and workflows to make a change from inside. Of course, we need like big players that will be their focus to disrupt really this mechanism. But that's like the way that we are doing it, is like empowering and bringing the technology and the capabilities downstream closer to the patient to be able to act on the insights they can have from their bodies.
This is so cool.
Yep.
I mean, you're literally you're going to change the world.
Thank you. I'm hoping so.
I think so.
Everybody of us. So do you.
Well,
what you are doing.
At least our neighborhood.
At least our neighborhood. We start with our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what do you think, how do you think AI is going to impact the medical world with this kind of language learning? How do you think it's going to impact the medical industry?
Yeah, I think WREI is a great example of how AI is doing that. And there's so many companies we see more and more using AI for whatever reasons to, diagnose multiple diseases and look at different kind of inputs, and even in the operational side of things, and even the burden of helping nurses or physicians to capture insights and create their notes from the meeting with the patient, like more efficient and quicker. So there are many aspects of that, and for us, it's in the diagnosis and management of heart diseases, but it can be in many ways.
Dude, you're awesome.
Thank you. Same.
Are we back? Are we good? Okay, cool. And we're
Okay.
back with a word from our sponsor.
All right, with a word from our first sponsor today. Thank you to our newest sponsor, the Introvert's Doorbell. Rings only when you feel social. Hate unexpected visitors. The Introvert's Doorbell is here to help. It scans the vibe outside your home and only rings if someone you actually want to see. If it's a surprise visit, an automatic no one's home sign appears. The Introvert's Doorbell, because small talk should always be optional. And back to the show.
Great, I love this. Just for me. This introvert thing.
I thought probably more than one person in this room would be like, if that was a real product, that'd be pretty cool. That's why I have a list of like 10 here, and I picked that one. I mean, it was one of the better ones. Yeah.
Once we exit Walkie, we can. Maybe.
So is that your goal, to start this and then ultimately sell it, you think?
The goal is to do good. Like I came from this naive understanding, but of course there is all the money aspects.
Yeah.
And we have investors, a great group of investors that believed in us and started investing in us from around 2.5 years ago, and then joined again. And we're very grateful and thankful, and we want all of us want to see how we can save lives and how we can help the society and really make the change of proactive medicine, help people to know about what's going on with their heart and help them achieve better lives. We met some from our investors, and we are meeting people with real problems, with that wish that Walkie was out there sooner, and
Sure.
they could act, including my family. So that's the ultimate goal. I think that's what needs to drive. But if, of course, from an economic point of view, an exit in some kind of way when it's really making a change and making a big impact for a big company. So that's like a route that is expected.
Yeah, I can feel it. This is going to be very successful, especially because the fact that your solution is providing insights much earlier than what the competition is doing or what's available.
Yeah.
Right? So I was going to ask about kind of trying to get this plane off the ground. Is it, you have some investors so far kind of in like your seed startup. You said you're working on getting FDA approval.
Right.
Okay. So what will you take on more investors, or how will this kind of ramp up, do you think, to like a bit more mass adoption?
Yeah, so we have a pipeline of heart diseases. I mentioned before the heart failure, which is our first indication. Then after we prove this concept, so we need to do two things: get to the market, which is the most important, and the FDA clearance is the enabler for that. So we need to have this FDA approval, so we'll be able to sell our solution to customers that can integrate our software and use that. So then we would continue with our pipeline that we have. We already have a grant coming from maybe the biggest healthcare system in New York, working on the next condition, heart condition, that also has treatment on the other end. So it will be very useful to diagnose the condition early. And we have few others in line. So we would need to, get more and more of those heart conditions to cover as many as we can. And on the other side, we are building like how to the product that will use this technology and how it will be used by by physicians, by medical devices. So this is the cardiology PT that I mentioned before, demonstrating how users will use this technology. So yeah, in terms of investments, we currently still open in our pre-seed round. We fundraising for $1 million. We got half of it, and that should allow us to get to this first FDA. I think after the first FDA clearance, it will be the inflection point for us in terms of valuation and showing the potential of what we're doing. So then we'll go for a bigger round of about $8 million. That's our initial thinking. Everything changes fast. And that's right now the plan, to go to the market with those other indications more massively to the market.
Will you be bringing on capital raisers when you get to that FDA clearance to get to the $8 million?
Yeah, capital raisers, you mean?
Like people that help find money.
I'm looking at different creative ways. Like you have your ways to do things out of the ordinary. So I'm looking to partner and network and bring whoever can help. I like to be successful and have more people that are successful together with me. So in any way or form that can be enabled, I'm open to that.
Amen. I want to help. I want to help when the time comes. This sounds awesome.
All right.
It's fundraising for technology companies is something that I like to try to understand it, because like in the real estate industry, it's kind of straightforward what you feel like you're, if you're fundraising for a specific, development, say 100-unit development, you can model your exit in 2 to 5 years or whatever, what your valuation could be. It's a bit more straightforward, but in technology companies, it seems like there's some structure, but sometimes it feels like things are kind of made up.
Oh yeah,
like you're just kind of guessing.
Yeah. I also like real estate. I mentioned before. Yeah. That's part of the reason. It's more real, right? It's real estate. It's more real. This is something that is more risky, but with higher risk, there potentially are higher rewards. I think that's what everybody's are excited for, to make the change and the impact, but also to have this significant revenue that can happen from that. I think what is common to both investors and the key to any of that is really trust. So we really need to find people that trust you, right, in whatever you're doing, whether it's real estate or building technologies. That's what I was building with my investors. Of course, to get to the point where they are leaning in and willing to put the money, that also, like with them, it took me, I think, around 10 months from the first meeting, which was extremely successful and there was a lot of excitement, until it really happened. So, and also it's the process I'm having now with some other investors that are interested, and we are in the process of due diligence. It can be extremely long. I think for this key to find this trust that we can both have in each other, for both ways, by the way. Right.
Yeah, you're constantly educating them and nurturing them, and demonstrating your the progress you've achieved from when we first spoke to now, or or once we started to now, and where we want to be. And yeah, I could see how it could be a long closed process.
Especially highly, I feel like for something like this is this would be like a venture capital investor would really want to be part of this. And I feel like the level of understanding of this market would be incredible to make an investment. But then you have the people like me that if I just had all that money, I'd be a straight emotional investor, because I think so many, at least I think almost all of us know somebody who suffered from something heart related. My grandfather died of cardiac arrest, right? His heart stopped. And he has things that have been passed down generation to generation. And Yeah, but I also feel like, so you need 500,000 more inside your seed round right now. Everybody listening?
Yeah.
You hear that? We're going to put
Okay. I hope we can close it soon. We have several that are interested, but yeah, of course, I'm always, looking to network and find some partners that want to be part of our journey.
Where can people find you?
Just or at Walkie. That's
Can you spell it?
OR. Yes, OR at WALKKY.com. So that's my direct email. We also have a website, walkie.com.
Pull that up.
And
Is your demo, the demo you were talking about, is that on your website?
it's not online. No, I'm not putting a lot of effort. I'm on the introvert part of things. I'm keeping it, under the radar. Not completely under the radar, but my type is more like heads down. Focusing on doing and producing. Not much out there, but we'll get out there. I think we have enough interest around us that is not requiring us to go out there.
You're certainly in the right market. We're sitting in a beautiful office here in Brookline. And
Big healthcare city.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
big healthcare city. You can't throw a baseball without hitting some type of healthcare center. And you can be in almost all of them.
Yeah. What do you think sets a successful founder in your in the world of technology companies, and specifically healthcare technology? If you can narrow it down that far, but what do you think sets a successful founder apart from someone who from a company or a founder that doesn't ultimately make it?
Right. So yeah, I think it's a wide definition of successful founder. I would look at myself, I can't judge. I always look at what's next, what the next milestone, how can I be more successful? I think the key for me is just being consistent, like believing in what you're doing. Thankfully, I can afford doing that because I think that's key. We're always talking about necessity, and when you hit the wall, when you cannot make it anymore, and you need to do other stuff. So thankfully, I was on those points of to be or not to be, but I was privileged enough to have the support. Real estate is one of the enablers, by the way, but just to have the ability to do it, that's one fundamental thing, because not everybody can afford doing that. Mm-hmm. I didn't get paid for many years, so I'm thankful to be able to not being paid and focusing on what I'm doing. But second is just believing in what you're doing, in the purpose of the good of what you're producing, and just keep going at it again and again and again, because the time, the patience that you need to have is tremendous. So you need to be ready and prepare for that. I think that's the very fundamental basic of that.
When did you move to the United States?
About 13 years ago.
Did you start the company? You started the company in Israel, right?
No,
you started here?
Yeah. I came, again, I was lucky we came just for a year. It's a typical story when you come my wife came to study here at Harvard for a 1-year program. We were planning to go back immediately, but then I was lucky to have I actually quitted my job in Israel, but then I was rehired by the same company here in the US when they heard that I'm moving, and they just made our visa and the green card very, very quickly. So again, grateful and lucky to have that opportunity. From there, I joined another startup as the VP R&D. Again, in the words of social media, understanding what people are talking about, thinking about, and making good purpose out of it, like fighting hate speech and things like that. That was another startup. I was in the founding team there. And then again, like I mentioned, my personal story after my uncle passed. This is when me and my wife, actually she started. It was her idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Shout out to shout out to your wife.
So Dorit, it's all you, and the main reason why I can keep doing what I'm doing. So she's really the rock star behind the scene. And we both she started it, but we started as part-time while working, but then we realized it's not possible. You need to be very, very devoted. So this is when I made a jump and quit my other job and was just doing WREI for full time.
So what's a day in the life of Victor? What's a day in the life of WREI?
Oh, that's so different every time, and I really like that. I come here to this beautiful office sometimes when I meet cardiologists, people from the industry. This week we had an amazing workshop with people from the healthcare system, from the industry, from commercial, from different aspects to think about what's the future, where we're going with the direction of WREI. But it can be, tedious as going over the bills and paying and doing all of the HR stuff. I also had this kind of meeting today about the HR platform that is going to charge me more, and I'm very, scrappy and focused on what we're doing. So hiring people again with limited resources. We want to bring the best people we can. So we develop this methodology, a very rigorous methodology of how to bring the best people we want for the team, for the future, for the long run. So all of it really, it's a very diverse
I'm envisioning your first awards dinner, like this big banquet. I see it. I already see it. This is going to be such a great company.
Thank you.
Alex is the visionary.
Well, I got to do something. I just see things in my mind.
Same for you. I see a great future for you guys. I love what you're doing.
It's all Harrison and Caleb.
Do what I can.
Yeah, maybe. No.
He said, yeah, maybe.
No.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Any final closing words or statements?
I don't know. I'm not a type of closing statement type of person, but just going back to what we discussed. I mean, I'm very humbled and excited about the future of what we are doing, about making the journey of heart patients more proactive, allowing them to detect the diseases early so they can act on it and have better life. So
can you put your email and website out there one more time?
Of course. So it's WREI, WALKKY.com. And my name is OR. So my email is or@WREI.com.
Awesome. Everybody listening, hit him up. We need $500,000 to finish the seed round, and we're off to the FDA. I'm so excited for you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you guys.